Rishi Sunak's speech on Friday was a dead cat, and it worked to ensure that the news about Brexit destroying British trade was largely kept out of the news. Only the Financial Times and China Daily have reported the fact that goods trade has dropped during the 5 years between 2018 and 2023 at the fastest rate on record, with imports slumping by 3.8% and exports crashing by 12.4%.
2016.
What is tragic is that because our media are complicit in Brexit, we have to look at media reports from outside of the UK to get a real understanding of what Brexit is doing to Britain. Just listen to this report from CNN.
To leave the European Union marked the symbolic start of the wave of populism that has been coursing through much of the Western world ever since. It was a decision by a major country to consciously choose to have poorer economic relations with its largest market. The European Union takes in about 42% of British exports. British voters thus put nationalism and politics above economics. On virtually every measure, from business investment to exports to employment, Britain is falling behind its peers. The think tank scholar John Springford put it simply: if you impose barriers to trade, investment, and migration with your biggest trading partner, then you're going to have quite a big hit to trade volumes and to investment and to GDP. Everywhere you look, Britain is feeling the pinch, from a shortage of workers to small companies struggling to send their goods into Europe, to reduced traffic on the Eurostar train between Britain and Europe. Bloomberg Economics estimates that British GDP would be 4% higher had it stayed in the European Union. Britons know that they were conned. According to one survey, a clear majority now believe that leaving the European Union was a bad idea, and almost 2/3 want a future referendum on rejoining. The current Prime Minister, Rishi Sunak, was a Brexiteer himself and continues to mouth platitudes about its virtues, while he faces a series of crises that have in part been generated by Brexit. Brexit was part of a broader collapse of British confidence. Ever since the global financial crisis of 2008, British productivity turned downwards sharply and has never recovered. Austerity policies made things worse as Tory governments slashed public spending, widening inequality and heightening general anxiety. As always, when times get tough, it's easy to blame foreigners. And opportunistic politicians like Boris Johnson did just that, promising that Brexit would cure all the evils that faced the country and even lying about the costs and benefits. Johnson's fantasies of a lean and productive global Britain that once unshackled by Brexit would become a kind of Singapore on Thames have gone nowhere. In fact, Britain now spends more on its welfare state, faces strikes across many crucial sectors, and is experiencing deepening wage stagnation. According to the Financial Times reporter John Byrne Murdoch, if things continue this way, the average British family will be poorer than the average Slovenian family by the end of next year. The effects go beyond economics. Over the years, I've listened to every British Prime Minister from Margaret Thatcher through David Cameron. They varied in political philosophy, but all had an ambitious conception of Britain's role in the world. Though they acknowledged that it would never be a superpower like the United States or China, they envisioned it as an energetic, engaged global player that cared deeply about the world. The UK had a powerful voice in the European Union as one of its 3 biggest economies. It enjoyed special status thanks to its UN veto, its close relations with Washington, and its impressive armed forces. Most important, it had a long tradition of generating ideas and agendas on global issues, rooted in its legacy as a liberal, free-trading country with deep historical ties around the world. It was a voice that was heard everywhere and listened to seriously. But over the last decade, defense spending has stagnated while funds for the Foreign Service, foreign aid, and even the BBC have been cut in real terms. With Brexit, even the rhetoric about a larger role collapsed as politicians ran away from anything that seemed too global. Now British Prime Ministers rarely speak to the international press, and when they do, they have nothing to say. Britain has become a middling island nation, isolated off the coast of Europe, without the heft to matter on its own or to set the agenda in its partnerships. Even Washington has little time for a country that is not even part of the European Union. As journalist Neil Asherson once feared, Great Britain has become Little England. There is a remedy that would restore British growth, enlarge the country's ambitions, and return it to a central place in shaping a new world of great power competition. It would, of course, require that Britain return to the European Union. Rishi Sunak is looking for a way to make a mark and turn Britain's fortunes around. He has the solution staring him in the face. He just needs the courage to grab it.